give them a warm welcome. My Chemical Romance.
Thank you.
I don't know if you heard me, but we got a section over there who literally came in from, I thought it was Brazil, they came in from Argentina.
Oh, wow.
Right here, right here. Argentina.
Hi. Right on. Thank you. We haven't been there in a while.
Well, they're coming to you now. You don't have to go down there, they're coming up here. So anyway, welcome to the Grammy Museum.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Thank you.
Tonight's going to be fun, and we really appreciate you being here. And I thought, we played that video, which is a great video. Agreed? Yeah. Great video. And let's just start off by talking about how much fun that was to do.
Oh man, it was a lot of fun to do. We got to film it out in the desert with a bunch of friends with ray guns and fast cars. It wasn't the hottest day of the year. It was the day after the hottest day of the year. That was pretty cool. Did you see it, right? But that's how much fun, how much fun you could probably imply it was from watching the video is how much fun it was, but how much fun times 10.
Yeah.
It was that cool.
You kind of, one of the things about being in a rock band that's amazing is you get to have these moments where I call them Bowie moments, where you just kind of, it's like every fantasy you had as a kid, kind of come to life. If you wanted to be in a rock band, you have this big kind of Bowie moment where you see what was in your head realized. And, for Black Parade, it was walking on the set of that video that Sam Bayer had created this world that I had in my head, and walking out in there was the first time I had ever felt that. And I kind of always use that moment as a benchmark, when describing what it feels like to see your art, created in front of you. But, doing Na Na was even better than that. That was stuff, and I guess it's because it's not only stuff that was in my head for so long and while we were making this record together, but it's also something that I wasn't sure was ever going to come out. And that's the thing about Danger Days that is really important and special about it to me, is the fact that, I don't know that we knew for sure it was ever going to come out, or if we'd ever finish, or if we'd hit that next level. So,
but why do you say that? Why was there doubt?
I kind of felt like at times where we were making that, when the Goonies come into the ship and they find when I really he's just dead there, and there's all these, it kind of felt like people were gonna one day down the line walk into the studio and be like, "Whoa, they were trying to make this awesome record. Look at all the shit we found." Too bad they didn't make it out. You know what I mean?
That's the best way to ever heard it described. I think that's what we're going to use in interviews from now on. That's actually what it felt like.
Said first at the Grammys.
Well, let's talk about the new record and talk about it that in a way that kind of describes how that record is perhaps a little bit more different, a little bit more progressive, maybe, or whatever you want to call it, from the other three.
Yeah. Well, one of the things to bring up first maybe is that I guess now from doing interviews and all this stuff, really realizing what Black Parade meant to a lot of people. I think as a band, we were touring so much, we had no idea. We know that we were playing arenas, but it was quite a blur. And 2.5 years later, you just had a bunch of guys that were really fried. And so it's literally now doing interviews or meeting people that were maybe, little kids when Black Parade came out, and talking to them about how much this record means to them. I realized that the record actually is important to people, and that was a really nice thing to hear. But there was such a creative burnout after it that it was hard to figure out what was going to come next, And, by the nature of this band, whatever we do always has to be so different that it's hard to find that after a while. And I think Black Parade was this moment for us where we really honed everything we learned, and we discovered that. And now we had to kind of reboot the band. We had to start over. And that's why it was so hard to make it, and maybe why it sounds so different.
Yeah. A lot of people ask if is Danger Days the reaction to the Black Parade. And I think I've come to realize that the reaction to the Black Parade was us taking time off. That was, all right, we've done this, and now our reaction to it is to exhale a little bit and to live our lives. And then the reaction to the time off was Danger Days, basically, you know. So you have this band, you know, kind of trying to reimagine what it is to be in this band, what it is to be a rock band, and we went through a lot of growing and I think self-realization, like in the making of the record, and it was fun to experiment. And when you hear the final product of Danger Days, you're hearing a band that's just having a good time being creative again.
Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, there's things on Danger Days that we've been dying to do since the beginning of the band. You know, songs like Planetary and songs like Sing and songs like Scarecrow. It's they were all like, you know, pipe dreams to us, and we didn't think that they were technically, you know, My Chemical Romance songs. And, you know, through making the record, I think we realized that, you know, we kind of get to dictate. You know, that's the fun part. We get to dictate what a My Chemical Romance song is.
Mm-hmm. You know, you say, Gerard, that you were burnt out. Mm-hmm. The band had been going pretty intense for 5 or 6 years, right. Pretty hardcore. The last date of that tour, and then it stops, and then you realize there's nothing planned, there's nothing going on. When you actually take the time off, you're all artistic guys, and I always consider when you're that intensely artistic as you are, particularly in the band as a whole, that there's almost a daily need to create.
Yeah.
How did you feel that then?
I started, it's actually funny because that need came much earlier than the end of the tour, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because, you know, and that's one of the things that I'm kind of experiencing now to some extent, is that you create this thing, you spend a lot of time on it, you do all this art, and then you put it out, and then you just tour. So every day isn't kind of like making a new painting. And so I found other ways to kind of fill that up by, on the road, like by writing comics or doing.
Were you doing
like
the comics, Mikey?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I mean, I started to. I was doing some comics too. We have something that we're working on together right now. I usually like I like read a lot. Painting. I do some painting too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was like trying. It was weird. I was trying when after Black Parade was done. I was like trying to write songs or just like little pieces, bits and things here and there. I just felt really weird to not be doing it with the rest of the guys. It was, I would like, like say write a verse or a chorus or just parts of a song, and I'm like, oh, this just doesn't feel right, and would shelve it. That was kind of what was going on. There was definitely after that time off after Black Parade, there was the want to create. I don't know. It just took a little while to get us there, I think.